If you want to learn how to make smooth house music, you are in the right place. Today, we will make a track from start to finish, and I will show you every step along the way. The final result will sound a little something like this. So my goal for the song is to make music that is perfect for a chill sunset drive. And I want to start with the hook. The hook is a short melodic or lyrical phrase that makes a song catchy, addictive, and memorable. And to figure that out, we are using Arcade. Arcade is a very powerful sampler that lets you browse through and manipulate a huge library of interesting and high-quality sounds. After a few minutes of browsing, I found something that immediately sparked inspiration.
Look up at the street light.
So what you see here is called a line. This is from the Hooked series, and it allows you to playfully trigger and manipulate samples.
Na, 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 na. Yeah. Look up at the street light. Na, 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 na.
The white keys on your keyboard trigger samples, and the black keys apply an interesting effect to those samples.
Look up at the street light. Look up at the street. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You can change the key of the whole line here, or you can use MIDI to change the pitch of individual samples. All this allows you to come up with really interesting musical ideas quickly. For example, this one.
Na, 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 na. Look up at the street light. Na, 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 na. Yeah, na, 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 na. Yeah, na, 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 na. Look up at the street light. Na, 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 na. Yeah, na, 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 na. Yeah.
Next up, we need a harmonic foundation for our track. I found this absolutely gorgeous piano called Space Dust. That is perfect for finding a smooth chord progression that fits with our melody. This is an instrument line, and it works like a synth or a piano, meaning the pitches correspond to the notes on the keyboard. To beef that up, we introduce a second layer, a line called Sacred Forest. If you listen closely, you can hear different elements going on at the same time. Many of these instrument lines have different layers that you can fine-tune or turn off completely. This one has this lovely, noisy forest cricket layer that I actually wanted to turn off initially until I realized how interesting and vibey it makes that sound. Something I would have never come up with on my own. Alright, so let's have a listen to what we have so far.
Na, 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 na. Look up at the street light. Na, 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 na. Yeah, na, 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 na. Yeah.
As you can see, it's really easy and fun to find inspiration and get good results with Arcade. But don't take my word for it. You can try out Arcade free for 30 days and get 50% off your first paid month when you follow the link down below. Thank you Output for sponsoring this video. Alright, the foundation is done, but now we want to turn it into house music, and for this we need two things: drums and bass. Let's start with drums. First and foremost, we need a kick drum on every downbeat. I like to put my kick drums into an instrument rack that has multiple instances of samplers with kick samples in them. This allows me to toggle through different kick drums easily and while the music is being played. It is quite common that I change the kick drum multiple times along the way. It really depends on where the vibe is going while you develop your idea. Apart from the kick drum on every downbeat, we definitely need a clap on 2 and 4 and some hi-hats on the upbeats. These lie exactly in between our downbeats, meaning in between our kick drum hits. I like to experiment with drum loops a bit at this point to beef it all up. Don't shy away from using loops. In my humble opinion, if there is a way to get music done faster, use it. It is very beneficial for a producer to finish songs quickly. There's an interesting way in which you can use Ableton's warp modes to clean up your drum loops. Let me show you what I mean. If you choose the Beats warp mode on your loop, you can tell it to preserve the transients, and then you can fine-tune how long the individual segments are playing. It almost acts like a noise gate, and it can be a really useful tool to tighten up your loops. Lots of people ask me about my drum bus. So let's talk about my drum bus. 3 elements I think are crucial. Parallel compression. I do that with a parallel compressor from Baby Audio because it has this really cool XY type way of dialing in the compression and the dry wet setting. Transient shaping to make sure the transients of the drums really cut through the mix. And some EQ if needed. In this case, I felt like the whole drum section needed some mids. All of that really is case by case. Don't forget to use your ears. The final piece for the drop here is the bass. For the bass, I'm using, yep, you guessed it, my trusty Serum. More specifically, a nice little UKG type bass. Now is a good time to sketch out the arrangement. But before we do that, it's important to know where we want the song to be listened to, since this dictates many decisions along the way. This version should be the one that goes up on Spotify, so the rule is as short as possible without killing the song. At this point, it makes sense to add effect sounds to help those sections blend into each other better. I'm talking noise sweeps, uplifters, risers, downlifters, and whatever helps control the energy. The build-up is the part before the drop, where we try to generate as much tension as possible, to make the part that comes after the drop as rewarding and powerful as it needs to be. We do that with lots of drums that are tamed by a filter that slowly opens up. Also, we add some synths following the chord progression that kinda do the same filter thing. Let's have a listen and see if the build-up does the trick. For the intro, we want to bring the energy way down. For example, I put a bandpass filter with some reverb and delay on the vocals to introduce them in a smooth and dreamy way. It's time to listen to the final result together. But before we do that, I wanted to quickly say thank you to the sponsors of this video output. Feel free to check out the link in the description if you want to try out Arcade. Other than that, thank you for watching. Final result in 3, 2, 1.